got mine off the internet.
Very good, except for a change in the work schedule. So I went to Wednesday. Oh, this was pretty good. Just trying to get Beth ready for England.
I mean, I love this room, so I was kind of watching, make sure, but it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Not there. You said it would hit me. One broken bone today.
I can get one more chair in here.
Hey, Steve. All right, guys, I think we welcome to the May regular board meeting. I think we have a quorum. So item number 1, call meeting to order and roll call of members.
Matt Moore.
Here.
Ray Stanfield.
Here.
Charles DeFuria.
Here.
Sherry Anderson.
Here.
Steve Brody.
Item number 2, approval of consent agenda items.
I got a couple of corrections for the minutes. Let's see here. Okay, for the minutes of the April 11th meeting, at the bottom of page 1, the last paragraph there. Actually, the way I made the motion was regardless of reimbursements, because it said all payments, regardless of repayment, will be reimbursed. And you know, when we were talking about that, I asked Dr. Buxton, I said, well, where is this reimbursement coming from? And, you know, I couldn't really get a clear answer, so I said, well, whether we get reimbursed or we don't get reimbursed, if this, you know, if it's an IEP where we have to provide the service, well, we have to do it anyway, whether we get reimbursement or not. So actually that should read, motion made by Charles DeFuria and second by Matt Moore to approve vocational rehabilitation payment to Oklahoma Department of Rehabilitation Services monthly for Luther student on transitional placement in the high school, regardless of reimbursements.
So you want all payments removed?
Yeah, all payments,
This month's.
regardless of
Mine says regardless of repayment.
yeah, well, that was,
So you
that-
want to say reimbursement?
yeah, regardless of reimbursements, period.
Karen, I made that change on the ones that we're gonna be signing.
Okay, good.
I just
Thank
noted
you.
that.
And then there was another one, where, okay, this would have been the April 19th meeting. And it says motion made by Matt Moore and seconded by Ray Stanfield to adopt Plan C, and then it says C attached to supplement Plan A of the reduction in force. Well, I think the way the discussion was we were gonna adopt Plan C, meaning a shortened school year, but the details would be worked out at a later time. And by saying C attached, well, that doesn't mean that we adopted the attached.
No,
was
that was
attached.
an example of
Okay,
Plan C.
well, then it should say,
Example of Plan C attached. You
Yeah.
approve that?
yeah, example, but details to be worked out at a later time.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Motion? Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed. as
Second.
amended.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield,
Yes.
Charles DeFuria,
No.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 3, public participation forum. Ms. Jane Martin.
Okay, I'm back here, I'm sure I can be heard. The new motto seems to be for the school district, if you're not happy here, leave. That should apply to 2 board members and this superintendent. It's time, Buxton, it's time, it's quite overdue for you to leave. If you're not happy here, it's yours and Moore and Batchhofer's and Anderson's agenda that has failed. You've been a total failure and the bullying on the board has to stop. Why do you want to destroy this district? But the main reason you have to go is you do not support these teachers. And by the way, did I mention that I worked at Drummond before we moved back here, and that 3 of the current board members are my former students? That district expects you to be vested in this community, and you have not been a part of this community. Other superintendents are stepping up and taking pay cuts to help and show their concern and faith in their district. What sacrifices have you made for this district? None. The last weekend was a perfect example of your indifference. For the first time in 30 years, the superintendent did not give the report to the alumni banquet this past weekend. What a slap in the face to over the 200 alums who were there. Oh, by the way, I have put in, for the rest of you, several open records requests, and I'm not alone in this, and been told that the secretaries were so busy attending to school business, blah, 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 but they're busy visiting with their friends, that they don't have time to get these reports done. Well, if I don't have my information by June 1st, I was told to address this issue with the DA's office. After all, he is the final judge on these issues. It's pretty bad when this superintendent won't give you the information you request, along with school board members and other taxpayers. And what about these cuts to extra duty pay for teachers? Why are there cuts to women's sports, arts, and drama? On the agenda tonight, number 7, reject the calendar. The teachers need to be included in this discussion. Matt Moore's remarks that this isn't going to be addressed again makes people wonder. You and Buxton were for this, and now you're against it. And someone on this board agreed to support this as an agenda item and backed out saying that God had thrown out roadblocks. God has given us the ability to take action, not to go along with roadblocks. Table the calendar, reject this calendar, and work with these teachers that are here tonight and in these classrooms to develop the calendar for next year. Doesn't their opinion and the citizens here tonight matter? Also, number 8, table this auditor candidate until he meets with the board and the board meets with him to see if he's aware of the problems here and what needs to be addressed and how many other apply to do this job. Number 21, hiring support staff. Also table this until the state budget is completed and we know the funding for next year. Why has this been put on the agenda now? This action is usually not taken till July or August. Table it. Yes to Mrs. Langley's request about naming this building. Number 14, yes, close either the old middle school or the preschool building and move the superintendent's office back over here. Yes to 24 and 25 to ensure that those retiring get their sick day funds that they're due. Pay for them now, encumber them now. And number 26, absolutely pass this item. Take the power of the purse back and do the encumbrances the correct way. To Moore, Anderson, and Buxton, stop hurting this district. Stop hurting the parents, teachers, and students. You're causing this hostile environment on this board, and the way to correct this is with resignations. You cannot grow and survive financially anymore under this superintendent's failed leadership. Teachers and students are leaving this district because of his policy. Buxton and Moore, you need to resign. And Anderson, either resign or reevaluate your positions. These teachers and students must be put first around here.
Ms. Sheila Hart.
Well, I was just going to share some things that Janet shared about the auditing, hiring a new auditor. And I wanted to mention an email that Dr. Buxton had sent out that was retrieved from the open records request. And this email was on April 1st of 2015 sent to the board members. And it says, "Dear board, I'm attaching some rough cost needs for Luther schools. Matt, you asked for a projected cost on the new construction plans for the district. Their projected cost at the bottom. One thing I want you to realize is that I will probably be recommending a change in our auditing services once I find someone that is willing to work the numbers for Luther a bit differently. Legally, of course. I will be recommending more to you in May, but in order for our district to get the waist size pants it needs to be wearing, we will need to do some shopping. Trying to stretch our existing pant waist is not working. We're a 300-pound district trying to fit into a 32-inch waist pair of pants, LOL. I think it's really important that we, again, look back at our finances and where we are and where we've been, because we know there's been a problem for a long time. And I'm not sure that going from auditor to auditor is the answer. Thank you.
Coach Higgins.
I kind of report on what we've done this year at track. Last weekend, we went to Catoosa to compete in the state track meet, qualified 10 athletes. Toughest probably class in the state as far as track goes. I mean, some of the best track schools in the state. We had a girl up there jump over 20 feet for Vanita. Pole vaulters going 15 feet. It was pretty impressive group of people up there competing. But our kids really got up there, worked hard. Riley Jeffries, this is his first year to ever run track. He finished the top 10 in all 3 events that he qualified for. We actually got 2 people on the podium. Maya Wright finished 6th in the high jump, and then Caitlin Bailey, she's just a freshman, but she finished 3rd in pole vault. She got a chance to really be great, so we're real proud of what everybody did at the state meet, and hopefully next year we'll bring a few more kids and have a little bit more success. Thank you.
Item number 4, superintendent's report.
Would you like those projected up on the screen if it's to your back for the audience?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, one of the things, and it's been a good thing for Luther Schools this year, that I'll share some updated amended reports for the appropriations, and referencing later in this agenda, we're asking for another supplement to be filed that raises our appropriations for spending just to get through this year. So if we look at the general fund, the cash in the bank at this point in the general is $1,547,000 with an ending cash balance, and that would be effective at end of April, $1,498,613.55. Remaining appropriations, which we'll discuss and probably when we get to the appropriations level, what we have done, which is more important than just that $1,703,000, is at the present time, we've spent the limit on the appropriations. So in order to finish the year, pay the bills, I say pay the bills, pay some warrants that we've been holding to clear it out in the June fiscal year, June 30th, then those appropriations allow us to do that. So $1,703,352, even though that's a big number, does not reflect where the district is in reference to the utilization of those appropriations at this point. Building fund, again, we're asking for an appropriation tonight also in the building fund. Cash in the bank right now, $131,979.43. Less outstanding warrants, you've got your cash balance at $131,443. Where we actually are sitting as we speak tonight is that we have about $8,000 left in the appropriation limit. don't think that's enough, and even if it were enough to make it to the close of June, looking into next year, I don't think that's an adequate, number. So that appropriation would increase that building fund of about 45,000 that we'll be asking for tonight. Child nutrition. You remember we moved some salaries back into child nutrition. That seems to be working. Ending cash balance, 118,292.48. Again, total appropriations remaining, 146,402. That will be close, but we think we're gonna make it. Transportation bond is unchanged. The 870180 we discussed before, that's money and interest that's drawn in that account that's still sitting there. And it can be used for one or two things, but primarily probably to pay on the debt if that's what the board chooses to do. Sinking fund, 1,447,969.80. You'll see the warrants issued. We did pay off Oklahoma City, so that's been cleared out. So we have a remaining balance of 1,447,000 with 1,004,593 for appropriations still remaining. Questions?
What's the projected carry forward?
We're looking at it, Matt, right now. I'd rather not project that number until we have a little better reconciliation. I personally, myself, think it's gonna look a little better than what we had thought a couple months ago. And what we collected in revenue, which is good news for Luther Schools, is about a 7% super collection above what the estimate of needs was that came in from our auditor. So that's what we're filing appropriations on again tonight, and we need it. So that projects a budget this year. Let me share this with you, and then maybe the audience wants to take a peek at this as well. With the approval tonight of the appropriation, our budget this year will be a $6,097,558.62 budget. If you look at last year's budget, what we operated on in 2015-16 was $6,131,457. So we're still under last year's appropriation and estimate of needs, by the way. And the estimate of needs is what sets the appropriation limit. And that's what we're asking to be raised with the current auditor that we're using at the present time. He has that paperwork documented and to be submitted to you as a board tonight. Probably be Friday before we can get that filed. What we're looking at next year, and again, we haven't had a year-end closing for the auditor to determine what that estimate of needs will look like. But in budget and projection of what we're looking to do for next year, we're trying to pull that to a 5.2 and a maximum of 5.3. So that's a very significant cutback, both to recover and to regain financial health of the school district. Okay?
I've got a question about page 2 of the expenditure summary, and it's got, it's got the funds there. It's got the general fund, the building fund, child nutrition, bond fund, and sinking fund. And then over there on the right-hand side, it's got the unencumbered balance, about 7,000 for the general fund, about 8,000 for the building fund, 74 for child nutrition, about 8,000 for the bond fund. Sinking fund, you have to pay the bonds, so that's Now, but my question is, what about this Tim Green? Because I never saw him on the encumbrances, and, you know, I think he's getting paid, what, $50 an hour, so what's?
That's
what is
his
it?
normal, that is his normal rate.
Okay, what's the tab so far? Cause I haven't
We
seen
paid
him
him
on.
1,000, we've encumbered 8,000,
I haven't seen it on the list of
Karen, is that
encumbrances.
all right?
We haven't paid him anything yet. He's-
Okay, but we did encumber 1,000 when he first came
We
aboard.
haven't encumbered it yet until we approved that
Tonight?
supplemental tonight.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other question is, what about the unused sick leave? I haven't seen that on the encumbrances.
That will be encumbered after you approve that supplemental
Appropriation
tonight.
increase,
Yes.
okay.
Now, so this supplemental, is this coming from the power plant, or where's it coming from?
No, it's all the ad valorem for the district. Power plant's included in that, of course.
So these are
But-
the people that didn't pay the full amount in December, and they're,
Luther has had a past history of good collection on ad valorem. This year, I would say we had a super good year because the appropriations of what the estimate needs reflected on revenues was up a little over 7%. So that 7% was a good news item because we needed to meet the budget of what we have encumbered and what we need to clear out this year and close the year. Because we started out with a 5.5 estimate of needs, and then we did an appropriation back in November, somewhere in there. We increased it up to 5.7. You did I don't think they call it a 501, but we filed another one at 52,000 to increase revenue where we could pay some more bills. It's not about just the money in the bank, it's about where the cap is set on that estimate of needs.
so I guess my question is, and that's a lot of ad valorem to come in this late in the year. So, is that what, new construction or
No,
just, what, I mean, what?
yeah, your question, okay, I understand. It's money that wasn't paid in December for any number of reasons. It gets paid along the way, and then Karen Prince appropriates that, sends it out to the schools. April is kind of a collection point for all school districts. And each district then will get an appropriation in April that they didn't receive in January.
Only if requested and approved by the board.
Correct. Correct.
So, in other words, we need to do this supplemental to increase the authorization to spend more money. Otherwise, basically, these teachers that are retired, you know, we're not gonna have enough money to pay them if we don't do this, right?
That's pretty much right, and some textbook companies that are owed money and warrants that are still sitting in the office.
Okay,
That's correct.
all right.
But for my own benefit, why, if there is money out there, why would a board not request it and approve the supplement?
Well,
Or approve the request?
number one, every auditor figures in, different auditors do it different ways. Some will hold back 10%, some will hold back 5%. Our auditor currently held back a 5% in the general fund, 10% across the board the other way. You know, just a safety zone if collections weren't good. Well, collections were good, and that's good news. So there's no way for them to know that accurately, so that's what the estimate needs is all about. It projects an end of the year closing. We had about 14,000 carry forward from last year. As that carry forward decreases, then your estimate of needs also shrinks to try to recover the money that is not there. That's a reason that if we don't have the 412,000 carried forward, and that's diminished. You know, last year it was diminished about 200,000. So henceforth, that estimate needs went down. The other thing about last year, which needs noted at least, that the estimate of needs came in at 6.147, but we didn't collect 6.147. So in that process, that impacted this year with a 5.5 estimate of needs. Projection for next year, we're just saying 5.2. We hope that we could be there, but 5.3 at a maximum. And that hasn't been done yet until we decide who's going to be the auditing firm. And I will take an exception to comments tonight. We're not changing auditors just for sake of changing auditors. The auditor we currently have has done a good job, and we're very pleased with it. The price tag that he would have put on it, he told me, he said, I can't do that.
We can take that up
When we get to it.
Okay, I wanna go back here, because if you take the 7,000 to 8,000, that's 1574 and 8. I mean, that's not even $100,000, okay? And then this, the supplemental is for what, what is it?
Total will be around 235 or 40,000.
Okay,
Part of that is general fund and part of that is building fund.
so you add that to about 100 and you get maybe 300, 400, something like that. But then you got all these, you pay the teachers the unused sick leave, you got to pay Tim Green, you got to pay school books or whatever else. So the question is, what's the carryover gonna be?
That's what Matt was asking me, and
And
I think
you
it'll
didn't
be
give an
very,
answer.
well, Charles, here's what Tim and I have discussed. We have not run those final numbers, but we don't think it's gonna be very much at all. We're
Okay.
just trying to finish the year. I don't think it'll be zero. I think it's gonna be better than that.
Okay, better than
How
zero.
much?
And
Well,
so- and
I'm a
then-
little more optimistic about that than he is. But I'm hoping that we see a couple 100,000 in there. Tim will be thankful if we get 50 or 60,000.
And then, come July, OSIG, the liability and property insurance, $108,000. If it goes up, it might be more than that. That's gotta be paid. So, yeah, okay.
Which makes it so much more important to approve
I
the
know,
request
I
for a
know.
supplement.
I know, but he had a budget in November, and it was a lot less, and all that extra money that came in, that could have been put in the bank and saved, so that there was a really good carryover, so that the bills could be paid in July. But hey, we gave him a budget and he went over it, because a budget and the appropriation. I know we disagree on that with him, okay? He asked for a budget, we gave him a budget. And then the appropriation, he said, well, that's the budget. So it's semantics, but basically, we should be able to say, hey, this is your limit, okay? And not just, okay, well, just keep spending, and, we'll just keep boosting it up, and then have close to zero at the end of the year. Okay, I'm finished.
Any other discussion for you all?
Okay, Teacher of the Year, announcing the recipients of that. These normally get awarded at graduation or the evening of graduation. Decided by the faculty administration of each building site. And for the high school, Teacher of the Year is Dana Brohl. Congratulations. The Teacher of the Year for the middle school is Joe Norman. Congratulations. Teacher of the Year elementary school is Melody Seether. Congratulations. And then my first year here, we implemented a district Teacher of the Year that took the three names, and administratively we decided who we wanted to name as the overarching district Teacher of the Year, because there is some distinction for that, and a state competition that if the person is entered into that state competition could be considered for the state Teacher of the Year. So our district Teacher of the Year this year, congratulations, goes to Dana Brohl. standing practice for the district has been to choose support staff of the year, and that's decided among the support staff, collectively voted on. And this year's district support staff person of the year, Tammy Westermeyer. The last thing that I have to report on, and I think it's in your packet, several activities come up at this time of the year as school closes. And you got a copy of those. We did post it on the internet so that you can look and see what the events are that we're celebrating at the close of school. Tomorrow evening, Miss Veazey will have her elementary spring concert here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. EOC has their graduation at their campus. But you can follow that agenda item all the way down through May 19th. So several things happening. FFA next weekend, band spring concert May 12th.
EOC's at 6 p.m.
Pardon?
EOC's at 6 p.m.
Oh, it's at 6 p.m.?
6 and 8.
6 and 8.
Yeah.
So I've got that wrong. I had that at 10 a.m. So it's 6 tomorrow evening?
They have the morning session at 6 and then the afternoon session at 8.
Okay. Graduation 7:30, May 19th.
Item 5, from Building Principals Report, Ms. Wilson.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Buxton. Our year is winding down quickly in the elementary school, and we have lots and our calendar is full, just so full. I'm going to report on some of the things that he talked about. We finished our OCCT testing April the 26th, and we have lots of volunteers who took time out of their busy schedule to help us proctor our tests. I'd also like to commend our parents. The first week when we took our reading test, we had 100% attendance for that 3rd and 4th grade reading test. I've never seen that happen. Those results are supposed to be back this Friday for our 3rd grade reading tests. We're in the process of enrolling for next year, and we sent home enrollment packets today, trying to get our numbers so we can start splitting classes for next year. Tomorrow night is at 7 p.m. is Laverne Veazey's last music program. And I'd like to invite you out to celebrate and support a lady who's dedicated 39 years of her life to the students of Luther. And on Wednesday, Miss Langley has her anti-bullying talent show at 1 p.m. Our annual play day has gone through a makeover. It's a full day affair of fun in the sun. We hope fun in the sun and no rain. And we have lots of parent volunteers who are coming to help us run our games on that day. Ms. Veazey will also have her last annual talent show. It will start at 8:30 a.m. next Monday. It will precede our end of the year awards. And then our awards for kindergarten through 4th grade will begin immediately after the talent show. We hope people can come out and join us for that. On May 17th is the 2nd annual limo ride at Luther Elementary for our perfect attendance students for all year. We'll load up pre-K through 1st graders, drive them around town, take them to Pops for refreshment, come back and do it all over again for 2nd grade through 4th grade. And they had a lot of fun with that last year. May 18th we have pre-K graduation. May 19th, 3rd graders will have their land run, and that is the last day of school. And also, I'd like to announce that Ms. Stevens is having her 3rd book fair, and it is a buy one, get one free, so support that. It's actually everything at the elementary school.
Good evening, Mr. President. I just did it. Tuesday, May 10th, sports physicals, 6 p.m. in the gymnasium at the middle school. May 11th at 1 o'clock, anti-bullying variety show. That's here in the auditorium. May 12th, 7 p.m., spring band and vocal concert. We'll be here in the auditorium as well. May 12th, ag trip. It's a wildlife field trip. It doesn't sound very educational, but I believe they're going fishing, and they've been studying that, so it does tie in with their Friday, May 13th, 8:30 in the morning, the middle school awards assembly will be right here in the auditorium. Following that, about 11:30, middle school field day. It's the first field day. It's being put on by our faculty as well as our student council have organized that. So that'll be the first time. Hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. It'll be a good time for all. Tuesday, May 17th, 7 o'clock, 8th grade graduation. That's at 7 here in the auditorium. The high school is usually at 7:30. Ours is 30 minutes prior to that, so it'll be 7 o'clock. They're not on the same night. I kind of confused that. Middle school is at 7, different night, 7:30 is high school. Wednesday, May 8th, Algebra 1 will be leaving campus for a little bit. I'll leave the details out. It might be hard for me to tie that to an educational outing, but anyway, they have earned it. Thursday's the last day of classes, and we have been getting some of our preliminary test scores. 5th grade still pencil paper. Everything else is on computer, so we can kind of take a quick peek at that. And I really hate to say anything about it. I don't want to jinx myself, but if the scores come back as well as the projected scores look, they can always move a cut score, a couple points one way or the other. Could mean that I'm depressed the next time I report this to you. But as of right now, they look really, really, knock on wood, I think it's wood. We're very, very optimistic. Actually, we're very excited. We just hope they hurry up, get them back to us just like they look. So we'll be excited if that comes back that way.
Good evening, everyone. Report from the high school. A lot of these things are kind of saying the same things over and over, but just a few of the events that are on the high school schedule that Ms. Wilson and Mr. Gunn have not already mentioned. Band spring concert, I believe Mr. Buxton announced that, but May 18th will be our baccalaureate, and then May 19th will be our high school awards in the morning and our graduation that evening at 7:30. Would like to talk about a few of the activities that our kids have represented our school so well this spring. To echo some of the comments of Coach Higdon, the track kids had an excellent showing at the state track meet. Definitely proud of all they've done all year. I know our FFA kids at state convention received awards, and Mr. Egg does an awesome job with that program, and I know those kids have been very involved in the community this spring. Very, very impressed with the FFA kids. Our FCCLA and our NHS, we had our NHS banquet last week, had some new members inducted into our National Honor Society. Our NHS and our FCCLA are planning some community service efforts this week to work with Feed the Children and things like that. So definitely impressed with how willing our kids are getting out in the community and doing so many great things. Already announced this, but our district teacher of the year, Ms. Royals from the high school, no one more deserving, I promise you. And then our support staff of the year, Ms. Tammy Westermeyer. I know that building would not operate without her on a daily basis. So definitely those two women very lucky to have in our district. To kind of add on the same things that Ms. Wilson and Mr. Gunn said as far as our state testing, we concluded our EOIs as well. Thank you to Ms. Cox for making that run so smoothly. She does an outstanding job. We had a lot of volunteers come and help proctor. All the teachers every day at the high school who go above and beyond to make testing possible, to do what's necessary. We have an outstanding staff, have outstanding kids at the high school. Again, to the people that make those things possible, I don't do any of that stuff. Our testing, or making it run on a daily basis, that's our staff, and couldn't have a better one, I promise you. So thank you to all those folks, and again, the district teacher of the year and the support staff of the year coming from the high school, we're definitely proud and happy for those folks. And looking forward to the last few days of school and wrapping it up and shaking our seniors' hands as they walk across the stage. So that's all I've got from the high school. Thank you.
One of the only benefits to sitting on this board is attending the celebrations that we have at the end of the school, and it's a showcase of all of the success that we've had. And I want to personally thank, and I'm sure every board member would also, but personally thank you three for leading those charges. Item 6, board to consider and take action on a resolution determining the maturities of and setting a date, time, and place for the sale of the $980,000 general obligation building bonds of the school district.
Under the lease purchase agreement with the new high school, we do this on an annual basis. Communicated out with each of you that Ron would like to do these in the actual opening of the bids in a special session. So we've got that set for 25th of May at 5:30 p.m. But tonight, I need the authorization of the board to collect those bids so that we can open them. It's an annual event, it's a routine thing, but it's a $980,000 building bond that you're approving here. And it needs done each and every year.
And what is the date and time?
May 25th for your special meeting at 5:30 here in the boardroom.
Any discussion? Motion?
Make a motion to meet on the 25th at 5:30 to do the bonds.
Second.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield.
Yes.
Charles DeFuria.
Yes.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 7, discuss and take action to approve the school calendar for 2016-2017 school year.
Okay, per the direction of the board from last month, you did look at a tentative example of the calendar, but it didn't have 30 days of time out of the calendar. So we went back to the drawing board, recalculated that. The calendar you're being presented with tonight, principals have had a chance to look at that. It offers a 30-day reduction in the amount of time that school will be in session with 151 days of attendance. Days break out at the bottom of the calendar for the semesters. 67 days in the first semester, 83 days in the second semester. Start time is 8 o'clock, ending time is 3:40. The reason for the length of time is to make up for the number of days that come out of the calendar year. So with a shortened calendar, my recommendation is that you would adopt this calendar, and we are pretty late on getting this calendar adopted, so hope it meets with board approval.
Any discussion?
So, Ms. Buxton said you already spoken with all the principals and they were pretty much comfortable with this?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I have a concern that is the length of the summer and the lack of instruction that the kids will have for that length of time and their retention over that period. If we could change around or add time to our fall, Christmas, and spring breaks and add those weeks onto the end of the year, I would much rather see that. Because we'd still be teaching the same number of days, the same number of hours. But the only difference would be we'd have a 2-week break in the fall, a 2-week break in the spring, and
So would you shorten?
3-week break in January, which would extend it into the first week of January, which is also our coldest month, so we could capture a little bit more savings there.
Well,
And
we
that-
tried, Steve, we tried to do that with those red days at the end of December. If I'm interpreting what you're asking me, you're talking about shortening those days and adding those days in attendance. Is that what you're saying, in May?
I would like to lengthen the amount of breaks, the length of the breaks, and add those weeks, or the days that we add on in the end of the school year,
Oh,
add them on to the end of the school year.
I got you.
We would have to adjust the 8 weeks testing dates. From what I have here, and what I propose, you would have your 8 weeks testing. The following week, you would go on to your break on each of the testing periods, with the exception of the last week, which is the end of school.
Okay, so you're talking about taking extra time in January and ending it on the end of May.
And in October, and in March. Because right now, spring break's after the 8 weeks test, and instead of having just 1 week for spring break, we could have 2. And then with the fall break, don't have a fall break at all for the 20th and 21st, but the week after your 8 weeks test, take that week off, and then just have 2 days off for Thanksgiving. And that would effectively add 3 weeks on to the end of May.
I thought the object was is we really don't, Oklahoma doesn't really have much of a winter. I mean, you can't pick a month that's gonna be cold. Not each, I mean, this summer, I mean, this winter, we didn't really have a lot of cold days. The summer months is where we had consecutively higher bills due to the fact that you have to use air conditioning more.
Well,
That's part of the shortened year. The shortened year is to do that. You can do some of that, which they already extended your Thanksgiving by 2 days. Fall break we didn't really mess with, or they didn't mess with. Spring break always comes after 8 weeks test anyway. That's normal standard. But extending too much in March, an extra, when you have an April testing coming, I don't know how that would be productive.
What's the testing in April?
All the tests they were just talking about.
Oh, the OCT.
Your spring is pretty
But
heavy.
my primary concern is not the savings. That's just, we've already captured that by shortening the school year. We'll still have the school open the same number of days. My major concern is the period, the length of the summer break. That's what I'm trying to address.
See, when this first got started, it was all about teacher morale. And then it became a money-saving issue. And I don't know, maybe you know, maybe we just go back to what we had, just a regular school year, the way we always had it. Because it's like, is it morale? Is it money savings? It's, you know, it's so confused now.
I would rather see that than this.
Well, yeah, no, but I wanted no school in January. I mean, I'm kind of like, if I drew an arrow here to take those 2 weeks in January and move them to May, but I don't know, now, you know, this is just, this whole calendar issue is getting to be real controversial, and
What I think we need to keep into perspective is our role in building this calendar. What we're discussing by cherry picking days that we'd like our kids in school and days that we wouldn't really gets down to the management of the district. We governed by setting a $150,000 target. Our choice was, how do we achieve that $150,000 savings? 4-day, which was brought up 4 times. A lengthened day.
That seems to be a misconception in the public, in the general community about the 4 times. We've only voted on, we haven't, but the board has only voted on it once.
No, we
It's
did.
been voted on
We did.
before he came here.
you know, and I think as far as hard numbers,
What I'm saying is, we have done our part in tasking the administration with coming up with a calendar that is workable throughout the administration and the teachers. We tasked them with managing what we wanted to say. I don't think we as a board need to be delegating to them the specific days that they need to be in session. We've done that by adopting a longer day, shortened calendar. It's up to them to come back with a calendar that works for them, and that's what they have done. That's proposed. Otherwise, we
The
would.
savings won't be known until we actually walk through a plan. And that's why we would have it in the RIF where you had the A that dealt with the first part of the RIF policy. And then we adopted a second one, which was the C. So, but we're never gonna know how much one or the other is gonna save until we walk through it. And that's the object is to save money so that we have more money for the district.
But our object should be to educate the children on what's best.
Yes,
for them.
sir.
What I propose isn't any change on the proposed savings of the shortened year. All it is gonna shorten the summer break to where hopefully the kids can retain some of what they learned the year before. So the teachers don't have to re-educate them and refresh them on what they've already learned, so they can start on new concepts and building on the concepts that they already have.
And Steve, I don't think anybody differs from you in concept. But I think that's the approach the administration has taken in developing this. How do we manage what the board has tasked us with? And this is their proposal. I think if we begin to start moving dates, you're gonna have 5 individual board members that wanna move a specific date that may or may not be suitable to the management of a school district. Any further discussion? Motion? Make a motion that we approve the school calendar for 2016-2017 as presented by the administration.
Second.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield,
Yes.
Charles Furia,
No.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
No.
Item number 8, discuss and take action to approve Ralph Osborne, CPA for Luther School Auditor for 2016-2017 school year.
Okay, we submitted, RSPs to, everyone on the approved state auditor list. We received back 2 bids, formal bids. Ralph Osborne was the one that followed the directions of the RSVP to the degree that we had asked him to respond. His bid was also the cheaper of the bids, and I don't know him. I have talked to him on the phone. He had some questions. He had reviewed our audit that's filed online, and he asked me several questions in reference to those findings. I told him that some of those had been cleared up, some of them were ongoing, would not be cleared up until we end out this year. So I am recommending that we accept his bid. His price for the audit is $4,500, and we need the auditor in here really now to do our estimate of needs. That's how we look at next year and know whether we've hit a mark of where we think that'll come in, 5.2 or 5.3 in Oklahoma. The auditor actually sets that spending limit. So I'm recommending for your approval.
When you talked to him, did you mention that the state auditor is?
He knows that.
He knows that, okay.
He was looking, Charles, at the list of the findings from Darrell.
No, I'm talking about the state auditor,
Yes.
that there was a citizen's petition, and he's aware that?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
He is aware of that.
Okay.
What was the competing bid?
Competing bid was from Dwight Balmer. $5,500, and plus report and expense fees $100, so $5,600.
What did we pay Darrell Johnston last year?
We were right at, what, 7,300, I think that's right.
I thought it was almost 8,000.
It was pretty close, wasn't it?
And this one is how much?
45.
Why is he so,
When, I can tell you the list of schools, if he does a number of them. The closest district that he audits is Wellston. And I have visited with Dwayne about him. He thought he did him a good job. He's been their auditor for a while. You know, he has a low overhead. Daryl doesn't necessarily have a low overhead. How many members he hires in his CPA firm.
and what about this comment, you know, I mean, I don't remember the email exactly, but, about the 300-pound district trying to get into, 32 waste. I mean,
Well, Charles, the comment, here's the way the comment was intended. That we're trying to grow programs, we're trying to grow a district into, the staff that we were adding. I would not think there was anybody that was added that wasn't needed. But we're trying to build a base to be able to support that, which as it turns out, the revenue wasn't going up in order to accommodate for that. So, you know, plus the cuts that have happened this year, here we are in trimming back. But that's what we're trying, that's the way I felt, we're trying to fit a growing district, a district that wants to grow, showing evidence that they want to grow, into a very small, size of waste of pans. Poor analogy? Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't mean it in any negative way, I'm just saying that's what we're attempting to do here.
well, I guess we attempted and we actually kinda shrunk, we actually kinda lost weight, you know? I don't know, maybe we should table this and bring him in later on and maybe you know, let him give a presentation to the board. I'd just like to hear what he has to say, make a sales pitch.
Do we not have to have an auditor complete that
Yes,
throughout June?
yes, yes,
Well,
we
we
do.
have an auditor on staff.
We have to have one, so.
So, Daryl Johnston's contract is through June 30th?
Daryl Johnson's contract expired when he finished out his audit report for the board. And that's what I was trying to explain at the board table. Daryl's not gonna do our new estimate of needs. That's the auditor that we're recommending tonight. Normally, I would like to have that auditor do that in February, March, but, you know, we're in May, and this estimate of needs is pretty critically important that we do that now.
Now, when we contract with anybody, okay, we have to contract for the school year, and we have to pay them with money that's appropriated for the school year. I mean, isn't that right?
Well, we have an ongoing audit every year required. Daryl came in at the end of last year. He picked up and did our estimate of needs. We were talking and conversing with him in March. Then he presents that estimate of needs, which was a 5.567, or whatever that number was.
So is there a written contract with the auditor?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a copy of that contract?
Is that mine? Siri? Be quiet.
Siri said this all.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay, so what is the period of service that's on that written contract?
Well, it's not July 1 to June 30th, and that's, I think, is what you're asking.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that. I'd have to look at that.
I think you reported
I did not know that.
2 months ago that it was through the reporting of the
Yeah,
audit
it's a
findings.
task-oriented bid.
And that was done in January.
Yeah, because no auditor's gonna wanna take Daryl's estimate of needs to project for his auditing year. That auditor wants to do that themselves. So now is the time where he would come in, do his estimate of needs based off the financial, review that he does on Luther Schools.
Okay, well, see, I looked up the, in this OSSBA handbook, and it talks about when you have liabilities, in a school year, those liabilities have to be paid with appropriations for that school year. And you can't pay bills, from a past school year with future year
That's correct.
appropriation. So that's why, I'm thinking, well, when we enter into contracts, it should state what the period of performance is, and I'd like to see these contracts, and I guess we'll get to that later on in this meeting, So I make a motion that we table, agenda item 8.
Motion fails for lack of second.
You got that, Karen?
Any other discussion? I think it's imperative that we move on the lower bid of the 2 state auditors. I make a motion that we approve Ralph Osborne for the Luther School Auditor for 2016-2017.
Second.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield.
Yes.
Charles DeFuria.
No.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 9, discuss and take action to approve the amended extra duty pay schedule for the 2016-2017 school year.
You had that in your packet. We cut out, about 26,000 in that, as it was projected in the RIF. So, any questions on that, I'll try to answer those, but that's what we did. And that's what we're recommending.
So now, when these extra duty pay is cut out, then they don't perform that work anymore?
No, correct.
Okay, all right.
That is correct.
With those programs that are being eliminated because of budget cuts, if your budget is there, can they not be implemented?
Everything in your policy, including teachers, after the RIF is effective, and we've met the target number goal for the district, is negotiable to either be brought back or individuals recalled. Now, I've just not allowed that negotiation because it's pretty easy to make the trades right now. They may or may not happen. So I went for the target number, as harsh as that may seem. And then, after we reach those numbers, things do change. And perhaps as they change, then we're in a better position to negotiate some of the things back that are being proposed and cut.
Do you have a projected date that we will know, now we can start addressing what programs or what teachers we want to recall?
Well, you're gonna, in the end date for us to say, okay, the RIF is over and the reductions are done, will be after the window of due process hearings for the staff. After that point. Because at that point, you're going to be hearing from the teachers the reasons that they should not be RIF'd.
I guess what I'm asking is, what date out in the future are you gonna make a determination that, well, based on attrition, based on retirements, we can now backfill?
You have 2 meetings in June. I'll delay that as late as possible, and, if you wanna do it in the second week of June, we can probably do that. But if you wait for the July, end of June meeting, which is really your July 1 meeting, that'd be a preferable time frame for my view.
So end of June.
End of June is when we would take back up
Correct.
those programs or teachers that.
Correct.
Okay.
Where did you get your recommendations for which ones we were gonna cut and which ones we weren't gonna cut?
Oh, coaches, principal, people that work with this stuff every day. They kinda know what's going on there.
And as far as the first programs, we've got the the newest programs versus the oldest programs and things like that? Was that a consideration?
No.
And that was part of the RIF plan, right?
Based on number of students served, based upon actual need for the supplemental pay, is the basic considerations given on that, Steve. Different than for the staff and the policy in governing that.
Just to clarify, like the basketball thing, the head coach, I'm assuming that's boys and girls?
Yes,
And
yes,
we pay the one coach 4,000,
yes,
and if we had a boys and a girls coach, we'd pay each of them 4,000?
correct. It's boys and girls.
So if we had a boys and a girls coach, they'd split the 4,000?
No, they would each get 4,000. That's the stipend we pay for that head coaching position, whether it's boys or girls.
And if it's boys and girls, they still just get 4,000?
No,
Oh, they get 8,000?
correct.
Because we have one coach.
That's
Coaching.
now currently coaching this.
Any further discussion? Motion?
Make a motion to accept the extra duty pay schedule for the 2016-17 year.
Second.
Michael Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield,
Yes.
Charles DeFuria,
No.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
No.
Item 10, discuss and take action to approve the activity fundraiser for 863 football fundraiser.
Any questions on that? It's an estimated income of 1,500 to 2,500. I'm recommending that we do approve that because we've called and put some demands on the athletic activities. So in order for them to meet their goals financially, they're gonna need some fundraisers to help accommodate that. So I'm recommending that. It's a 2016 Lift-a-thon for May 10th through May 27th.
Discussion?
Who will sponsor this?
Mr. Meek's making the request.
I'll be in charge of it, yeah.
So this is after your effective date?
Yeah, but I'm here, I'm still working. So, as we've done it, this is something we've done every year.
I was just concerned about who was gonna sponsor it or not.
I will be in charge of all the ingoing and outgoing funds and everything, and it'll be finished up. I'll make sure it's finished up before I move on. It's something we've done every year, it's been very successful. Kids basically get sponsored based on how they perform in some of the spring stuff we do, so.
Any further discussion? Motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the activity fundraiser for number 863 football fundraiser.
A second?
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield,
Yes.
Charles DeFuria,
Yes.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 11, discuss and take action to accept letters of resignations from Mr. Josh Edenborough, Ms. Mary Beth Wilson, Mr. Sean Meek, Ms. Holly Pretty, and Ms. Natalie Festival.
Okay. Josh Edenborough, dear Dr. Buxton, I am extremely grateful for the opportunity Luther Public Schools has provided me. I've learned and grown as a person and educator more in the last 2 years than I could have in any college classroom. That being said, I am resigning all teaching and coaching duties effective May 24th, 2016. Thank you for everything you've done for me and my family over the last 2 years. I will always hold a special place in my heart for Luther Public Schools. Sincerely, Josh. Recommend to the board that you accept his letter.
You gonna go through them individually or?
You want me to and then vote collectively on them? Okay, Ms. Wilson, effective September the 1st, 2016, I am resigning my current position at Luther Elementary. I've enjoyed my many years of service, working with the administration, the staff, and particularly the students. I appreciate the support and opportunities I've received from our school system through those years. Respectfully, Mary Beth Wilson. Mr. Meek, Dr. Buxton, please accept this letter as notice of my resignation from my position as high school teacher and head football coach of the Luther football program. My employ with Luther Public Schools will conclude at the end of my 2015-16 contract. It's been a pleasure working at Luther Public Schools for the past 7 years, and I appreciate the opportunities the administration and the Board of Education have provided me. It has been an honor and privilege to work alongside the wonderful teachers, students, and people of Luther. I wish nothing but the best for the school district. Go Lions. Respectfully, Sean Meek. Holly Pretty. Addressed to Sheila Wilson, Principal, termination of employee to whom it may concern. I'm hereby sharing my intention to terminate my employment with Luther Public Schools after the contracted school year of 2015-16. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with such wonderful students, amazing educators, and super supportive support staff over the years. My plan is to finish my education, to get a degree in early childhood education, and then return to this district seeking employment again in the future. Sincerely, Holly Pretty. Natalie Fessler, dear school board. 15 years ago, I received a telephone call from Mrs. Janes asking me to apply for a position as a paraprofessional at Luther Middle School. This began a chapter of my life I had never considered. I loved each moment of the 2 years in that building, during which I had the opportunity to work with Mrs. Janes and many students in her class. That is when I decided to go back to school and become a certified teacher. With the help and support of Miss Janes, I now have been teaching at Luther Elementary for 13 years. During these years, I have learned so much from each and every teacher with whom I've had the pleasure to teach. I've developed friendships with both staff and parents, which I will always hold dear. Many students have come and gone, each with his or her own personality and qualities, both good and challenging. My hope is that I made some sort of positive impact on their lives as they each have made on mine. It is with a heavy heart that I now write this letter. I have been presented with an opportunity to teach at a smaller school. This position comes with greater responsibilities and new challenges. I will teach and act as director. This has been one of the most difficult decisions I've ever made. Many tears have been shed over the past week. I love Luther Public Schools and always will. I pray each day for both staff and student body. This will continue as this is my home. Please accept this letter as notice of my resignation as an employee of Luther Elementary, effective upon the completion of my 2015-16 school year. Sincerely, Natalie Fessler.
Discussion. I think it can be stated that some of these are a result of the financial situation of the district and the climate of the district, and for that from the board, I think we may have let you down, but know that your work did not let the district down. I make a motion that we accept the letters of resignation listed.
Second?
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield,
Yes.
Charles DeCuria.
Yes.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Burley.
Yes.
Item 12, discuss and take action to accept the retirements of Mr. Joel Norman and Miss Nancy Norman.
Mr. Gunn, Dr. Buxton, and the school board. I am retiring from my teaching position effective at the end of 2015-16 school year. Nancy Norman. Mr. Gunn, Dr. Buxton, school board. I'm retiring from my teaching position effective at the end of 2015-16 school year. Joel Norman. Very similar.
Discussion. Make a motion that we accept the retirements of Mr. and Mrs. Moore.
Second.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Ray Stanfield.
Yes.
Charles DeFuria.
Yes.
Sherry Anderson,
Yes.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 13, presentation of Mrs. Linda Langley regarding the honorary naming of the auditorium.
Can I stand here and do this?
Yes.
Okay, all you guys are here to support me. Come on, stand up, please.
Let me see your
Okay. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. We are here tonight to ask you to name this auditorium after Mrs. Laverne Beasy. Laverne Beasy is retiring this year after 39 years of service to Luther Schools. She has directed 3 or more musical performances since the auditorium opened, plus many at the other auditorium. She has even blessed us with a few special performances of her own special talent. We believe naming this place the Laverne Beasy Center of Performing Arts would be an appropriate end to her lifetime of service to Luther. Thank you for your time.
Discussion. I fully intend to bring this back in the June meeting because it's not listed as taking action. But Ms. Veazey entered this school when I entered this school as a first grader. And I can find no better way to honor her achievements. She's a wonderful lady. So, item 14, discuss and take action to close the pre-K superintendent office building. This was a agenda item brought forth by Steve Brody and Charles. So for you.
I believe that we have sufficient office space in other places that we could close that building and save on the money on the utilities since it's not being utilized to educate children.
Amen to that.
Discussion.
I think one thing of it is at this point to leave it as is until you find a different location. I think that this building costs more to operate, to have more people in it on a day-to-day basis than the smaller pre-K building. I think at this point to just leave it as is, unless you have a different place in a different building, but having it here in the auditorium requires that you have more stuff on a daily basis. I know it is done on a pretty much daily basis and you have more people coming and going.
The previous superintendent office was located in this building, and we don't close this building, and it's utilized by the community and surrounding communities. So we won't be closing this building since we have to leave it open. We might as well use all the available office space versus space that was designed for the education of children.
Is Gwenda here? Okay. I mean, that looks like a thermostat in this room. I mean, are there individual thermostats?
If you cool and heat this room here, you'll have to have 4 air conditioners running to do the offices, the bathrooms, the lobby, and this room here. Down there, you only have 2. I believe they're about 3 ton down there. Up here, they're more like 5 ton air conditioners that will be running.
Now, how often is this building used?
This building is, well, it's used every morning at first hour. And then, well, a lot of days it's not used after that, except for Joe and Josh's offices over there.
So, where did Joe and Josh used to office before the move?
We didn't have a IT person on staff.
How long has this been used for the superintendent's office? Because prior to that, it was where the cafeteria was, and prior to that, it was over in the old middle school now. right across from the library, cause
I'm not sure if it was 4 or 5 years.
he started here with, Blessington, was it not?
No, Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson bought it
Mr.
in,
Wilson was.
but it was right before he retired.
Yeah.
So in those offices there,
Was he? Was he? Yeah. Mr. Wilson was
No, he wasn't.
Blessington moved up here.
Yeah,
Blessington moved up here.
Blessington was up here, so Tony Vincent's Blessington, it was not Wilson, because I don't, at that point, when you're talking about air conditioning units, okay,
air conditioning.
yeah, okay, if it's not used, okay, like, they're gonna have to use it even in the summertime, because the office has to be used as far as the, superintendent staff, correct?
Mhm.
So it costs more to run these units in this building than it does in that little building, correct?
I feel like it does. I feel like the units are bigger units. That's why it's gonna cost more.
but you say there's people in those offices right now, and are they there all the time?
Mhm. And I don't, do you have the, they're there every day, but not
Okay, well-
all day long. Do you have the air conditioners running in the lobby and the bathrooms, even when there's nobody in the, yeah. They don't have it running in the lobby and the bathrooms and in here whenever we don't have something going on.
Okay, so there's a separate air conditioning and heating unit in those offices back there?
It heats 2 of the rooms,
Okay.
not the 3rd room. The 3rd room heats, 1 of the rooms and 2 of the bathrooms.
So you have 2 thermostats to run small areas. In other words, you have a 2 500-ton units or more to do that, compared to the smaller ones doing 1 small building.
Yeah, I had 2 up there.
I know that when I was looking over the bills for the pre-K building are pretty much nothing compared to running this.
So are you proposing to shut down the auditorium too?
I'm not proposing to, I mean,
Well,
what's
if we
the
don't
purpose?
need it, why are we gonna keep it open? And why are we gonna power it up? Why are we gonna put utilities on it?
But these people that are, okay, you say there's 2 people in those offices, right?
Mhm.
And they're there every day, right?
Mhm.
And are,
They're in and out because they have to go.
but they change the thermostat up and down when they go in and out the door?
No, it's.
Okay, so yeah. So basically, if you had the administration there, it'd be the same thing as it's having, the IT there.
Joe, with y'all having IT over there, you just run 1 air conditioner. You don't cool that
Third office is where we repair computers. And you control it on the wall. It's not on a schedule. So if Josh is in there making a repair, he can turn it on and off in that room.
Right.
It's not on a schedule.
So it's not on unless he turns it on.
Okay.
They only have 1 running over there when they're in the office.
Okay, so the difference would be that other room to turn it on and off. That's the difference.
Mhm. And it is also connected to the 2 bathrooms.
Okay.
Well, I do believe if we're being dutiful about saving as much money as we can, I know there's other office spaces in other buildings besides the auditorium, that we have a extra room and stuff like that in the other schools.
Yeah, we had a dean of students in the high school, with brand new furniture.
My concern with this one, with closing the pre-K and superintendent's office is, Steve, you sat in on the committee meeting when you were discussing budget reductions, and it wasn't just a reduction in force, it was all-encompassing, how do we save money? This didn't make it on that list. This
Well,
is
I would not-
another example of the board trying to micromanage the administration.
I see an
We need to govern.
You
sat in, well, I gave you your.
I know.
Steve, you sat in on those committee meetings. If it wasn't, if you guys as a committee didn't find value in it then, why do you feel it's necessary to cherry pick one item
place it on the agenda. That should have been taken up in committee, not here.
I believe we all are responsible and should do due diligence. Anytime we see we can make saving money, that we should bring it up to better the school financially. If I didn't see it at that time that we had those committee meetings, and I didn't see it till after, I think I still have the responsibility to the school to save them as much money as I can.
Well, and I think you need to work through the administration for that, not
I've-
force a
I've-
management decision. on
I've
them.
attempted to work with the administration to do that, like with the reduction of force teams, which my efforts have not been appreciated or taken up on or worked on or anything else. So this was my other means of getting something done, so I used it. I
So
believe it's well within my right.
Where the building is concerned, where the buildings are concerned, is that not under administrative? Where they choose, or the best place for them to be located. Even if they were to relocate so you can close that building, it would not be something that your building and your site principals would make that decision along with your superintendent?
And my proposal to the committee was anything that wasn't actively used in educating children, be it an asset or a building or anything else, that we don't need it, that it's just a cost for the school. Because we have costs such as the driver's ed car. We still have to upkeep that car and we still have to pay insurance on it, but it's not utilized in educating children. I believe our number one priority as a district is to educate children. So if we're in this big of a financial crunch, we need to cut corners everywhere we can. And this is one of the things that I've seen where we could cut corners.
See, there wouldn't be micromanaging if we didn't get into a financial mess. The micromanaging came about because there was financial mismanagement on the part of the administration. That's when the micromanaging got started.
I'm not at all satisfied with the Plan C versus the Plan B, but the board has voted. I'm not at all satisfied with the RIF Plan A, but the board has voted. So I'm gonna keep making suggestions that I think will help the district as I see fit.
Okay, did you talk to Buxton about moving his building?
No.
So in other words, you did not contact administrative staff on where to put where they should put themselves?
They were contacted when I sent the email requesting it via agenda item. If they had any questions, they were more than welcome to ask.
Did Buxton contact the board when he moved? And did Buxton contact the board when he bought $13,000 worth of brand new furniture? No. Buxton has got too much authority.
Any further discussion? Motion.
I'll make a motion that we close the pre-K / superintendent's office building for utility savings.
I second.
Matt Moore. Ray Stanfield.
No.
Charles DeFuria.
Yes.
Sherry Anderson.
No.
Steve Brody.
Yes.
Item 15, discussion and on proposals submitted by Ms. Glenda Church on A, hand dryers in the restrooms, repair of high school elevator, replacement of fire alarm panel in the middle school.
When do you want to give a synopsis of those? They're just getting their copies of them, so they haven't had a chance to review it. Okay?
On the, go to the elevator first. On the, elevator, if, we're having problems with the elevator working right now. We have an inspection coming up in September. We have to have it working, whether we use it or not, it has to be working. The company that, installed it, they are, they will do a yearly contract on it where they come out and maintenance it 2 or 3 times a year, grease it, check it and everything, and, fix anything on there for the $2,400. The $1,140 a year is just the basic. They're not gonna fix anything, they're not gonna pay for any parts. The parts they will pay for is if they're faulty parts, and I'm not really sure if this, whatever's wrong with it right now is a faulty part. I'm hoping that it is a faulty part, so that they will replace it within the $2,400. But, we do have somebody on crutches right now that could benefit greatly from that, but it's not working right now.
Was there any kind of like a warranty that, because it's a pretty new building?
Yes, there was a warranty and it's already out.
It's out.
Yeah.
Like a
and
2-year warranty or 1 year or whatever?
It was a 1 year. And, then this is just a yearly contract. If we keep this up every year, they will take care of whatever's wrong with it and, service it, grease it, oil, take care of all of that. And make sure that all the, paperwork is filled out for our state inspection in September. And then, on the, fire alarm panel at the middle school, the fire alarm panel does not work. We have, in the north and the south building, we have 2 fire alarm panels. The one in the south building doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It's completely gone. We had to disconnect it to just keep it, to get it to shut up. And the one over in the north building, which is in Miss Langley's classroom, goes off quite often. And this company said that they would come out. I've got some bids in here, and this one company will come out and tie both of them together to where we just have one fire alarm panel. Right now, you have to turn this on over here, go over to the south building, turn this on, go back to the north building, do something else over here, and then push another button back in the south panel. It almost takes 2 people to reset that thing, the way it's set up now. But they will tie both of them together and just put in one panel. I feel like that one in the north building is still working, but it's been there for 20 years. I feel like with it going off as much as it goes off, that it's very close to the end of its time being around. And if we could just spend just a little bit more and get them tied together and do away with one of them, in the long run, I think it's gonna save us a lot of money, you know, to keep from having to install a new panel, you know, in maybe a year or 2 years. And one of the reasons I've got the different people here, Simplex Grinnell, they only install Simplex Grinnell. And they're the only ones that can work on it. They're the only ones that can get their parts. Not anybody can just work on that unit. Advanced Cabling, they're the ones that was just a little bit higher, but they're gonna tie both of them together to where we only have one panel. And the bids are all in your packet there, so you can look them over. And I think even a contact person, if you wanna contact them. I talked to advanced cabling today. And he had wondered if we had made a